What's going on YouTube? I know that a lot of you down that lens watch my videos from some colder climates. And being a native Midwesterner from Chicago, I understand what it's like to really want to get out there and golf, but you really don't have the ability to. So today, we're gonna do a video talking about some of the top ways that you can practice indoors safely. Always gotta keep it safe. Full swing, putting, chipping that I've found that maybe you can replicate while you're sitting inside in the cold winter months. Let's do it right meow. Thank y'all for tuning in to my YouTube channel. My name is Kenny. Some of you may know me as Kenny Cat. I'm a competitive golfer. My goal is to help you improve your golf faster by learning from some of my successes and also some of my failures. So I'm gonna go ahead and get set up in the living room here, which is where most of my stuff is at. I use the birdie ball. I've got this in my living room, as you can see. I know we did a video on this before, which is the X-Putt. This was a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford something like this, I'll put a link in the description, or I'll throw one of those things in the upper right-hand corner that talks about this. But the birdie ball is pretty cheap. You can get these things relatively for like, $99 or 89 bucks. And I have a 10 feet here. I cut it off. It was 15 feet. And this is just basically a good station to, roll your putts and keep that putting game tight. I've obviously got marks on mine for, 4 feet. And then I got my little start line here for 8 feet. And I always keep a spare putter sitting in the living room, and I can't really stand here because this is in the way. All right, and I got this little dot right here sitting at 4 feet. And it's always good to knock out, 15, 20 of these a day just to keep your putting stroke, keep your alignment and everything just kind of really set up. I like to go through and, just hit 10, 20 of these at a time. Well, that's 20 is that kind of an overstatement. I just like to go through and hit five or so of these every so often, maybe before you go to bed. I think it's a really great way to practice. And if you want to increase the difficulty, you could always get a yardstick, or this thing is actually 4 feet. And you can set this bad boy up and just try to roll these straight on line. Right in the moneymaker. And then obviously the next thing that I'm gonna do is I go to my 8 foot. I love to have a little marker down here that just kind of knows my face is square, just set up to my alignment. And again, like to hit some 8 foot putts. Make sure I'm rolling that ball straight. And just keep this part of the game very fresh and very tight. It's always frustrating to get back after a long winter break and your putting feels off and you don't feel like you've been able to really get anything else going. And you're just trying to find these little, find your basics, right? Being able to make 5 footers, being able to make 4 footers. This is something that I practice religiously. As you can see, I am fully on the bandwagon of looking at the hole. I just putt so much better looking at the hole. That's a dead roll straight, but that's gonna miss right. And again, doesn't have to be anything too complicated, doesn't have to be anything too fancy. Just practicing 4 footers, 8 footers. If you've got carpet like this, something in your house that's a rug or something that's even a little bit, of a smoother roll, you could do the exact same thing with the, with the cup down there and set yourself up a nice little 8, 10 foot area and just putt to your target. I got a slanted house. All right, let's move on to some chipping. All right. When it comes to chipping indoors, it is important, and I repeat, important, that you never, ever, ever, ever use actual real golf balls. I got a lot of stuff on these walls, TVs, art, and all this good jazz, and even though my significant other, she is not home right now, she would not be very happy, as I'm sure many of your spouses down that lens would not be happy if you were chipping real golf balls in the house. There's a beautiful brand called Champkey. Right there. And they make these little foam squishy balls. I recommend this brand. I'll put a link to Amazon below. Not the cheaper ones because they tear apart. These ones are made of like a more resilient foam that works better. Trust me, I have these other ones that I've completely ripped apart with Full Swing. I highly recommend these. They definitely work a lot bit more. Again, it's from Champkey. Make sure you're using foam balls when you're chipping or doing anything indoors. You do not want You're literally one hosel rocket away from having to buy a brand new TV. And I'm sure you don't want to end up in a TikTok fails reel or something. And then, take yourself whatever wedge of choice and just get creative in your living room. I get one of these little cheap things off of Amazon, and again, I'll put a link in the description below. I think this thing was like all of $5 or $10, just anything that's gonna protect your floor and your carpet. Do not chip off of your carpet. You will wear the grooves, or you will wear the carpet down. As somebody who's had to replace quite a few carpets in my office because I keep chipping on them, I'm gonna recommend to you, don't do it. Do not hit me up in the comment sections being like, Kenny Cat, I'm upset because I was chipping on my carpet and now my wife's upset because we gotta replace our new Persian rug. But I'm gonna try to chip this at the camera and see what happens. That was not committed at all. And I like to make it a game. I look at different targets in my house, try to chip it on the chairs. And this will keep your game pretty tight. You know, like if you're, I know it's a little weird to feel the ball, but the fact that you don't have a real ball kind of shows a lot of the flaws. When you don't hit it well, it doesn't come out the way it's supposed to. When you misstrike it, it comes out, it shows the flaws a lot better. So it's just another good way to keep your chipping nice and tight over the winter. Come on, right in the lens. So this is one of my favorite things. When I'm watching TV in the living room, I do a lot of chipping drills, a lot of chipping exercises. And as long as you got some pretty decent area, I mean, you can get pretty funky with it as long as you got some room. And again, check your surroundings. Make sure there's not enough stuff that you're gonna run into. This chair is actually kind of close for me, but I'm not gonna be doing any kind of like Phil Mickelson flops. Check your surroundings. And just make sure that you've got enough room to kind of get whatever it is you want to do. And, you know, don't be afraid to mess around with it, get a little funky, get a little crazy. As you can see, the beauty of foam balls is that they can't really hurt anything. Keep that chipping game tight. Make it as creative as possible inside of your house. Use a chipping mat. And just, you know, pick some creative targets. See if you can get the ball to go high, go low. You know, just get visual with it. Get creative with it. It's short game. It's all about creativity, as some would say. Let's move on to full swing. Now, full swing is definitely going to be something that you want to be extremely cautious and careful with because you need to make sure you've got enough space around you to really swing a club full out. I would recommend not going with anything more than a 7-iron or wedge or 9-iron or 8-iron, probably your favorite favorite mid-iron. And this again is just to keep your swing in good shape throughout the course of the winter. I have this mat that's designed for indoor hitting, and this is I'm gonna put the name in the description below, but this is one of those mats that's designed to like reduce stress on your wrists or whatever have you, and it pretty much is what I use indoors for full swing. I still use foam balls, and full swing, they do work pretty well. As you can see behind me in the closet here, normally I'll set up like a blanket or something that the ball can go into, but honestly that wall back there it's even full swing with a 7-iron, it's not too big of an issue. And I have this box set up because that's my target line. I'm trying to get like some audible feedback. So when I hit the box, I know I started the ball on the right line. And I'll sit in here and I'll practice these and I'll set up a camera in front of me to do some recording as well. And this is obviously my office. I'm sure as many of you have seen in my YouTube videos, but this is where I do full swings. You can get away with this in like a more open area, like a living room. But again, you want to make sure that where you're hitting into, you've got some kind of blanket or something draped on, you know, the wall or some chairs that's going to catch the ball. And I'll spend a lot of time sitting in here and I try to keep it basic and keep it as simple as possible, right? Got a little cheap I got a cheap wooden box. That's a wood box. No, I got a cheap cardboard box over here that like clearly I bought some kind of golf equipment in from Amazon or wherever the heck I got it from. And essentially all I'm doing is just lining up everything to make sure that my ball starts over there. This is one of my favorite training aids I did a review on, the little Whippy G4 7-iron. So I know if I swing this pretty good, I should be able to hit that box right on the money if I release this club correctly and don't yank it. Close. There it is. And then normally after that, I'll go ahead and grab my actual 7-iron, which I can't seem to find. It's this club right here. This isn't actually my actual 7-iron. I have a spare 7-iron that I use specifically for indoor practice, which if you've never done that before, I highly recommend it. Get yourself a second 7-iron made exactly to the same specs so you can work on some indoor mirror drills. Should be able to replicate that feel almost instantaneously. Yep. And I know that obviously if I'm able to hit that box dead on the center, I'm starting that ball straight on line. It's exactly where I want to. And that's kind of just what I practice indoors without being able to have ball flight or without having an indoor simulator. Works really well for me. Obviously, if you got the space for it, it could possibly work for you. Just be creative with it. Find some very simple solutions. I'm literally out of breath because it is so hot in here and I've been swinging that golf club. Whew. All right, those are my tips for building a good indoor practice station for when you can't make it out to the golf course. But I definitely love to hear from some of you down that lens. What are some things that you do indoors to help improve your game, to work on your game when you can't get out to the course? I'd be curious. Let me know in those comment sections below. As always, thank you very much for watching my channel. Deuces, people. Let's keep it moving.